Don't confuse exiting Egypt with entering the promised land. And I think it's so easy that once you have come out of Egypt, just to become satisfied at where you are, that you end up hindering yourself from walking into what God has promised you. Ooh. I think it's so easy that we can get into this mentality of, at least I'm not in Egypt. At least I'm not where I used to be. And let me tell you, escaping Egypt and exiting Egypt is worth praising God for. It's worth celebrating for. It's worth giving him all the honor and praise for. But listen to me very clearly. Sometimes we get stuck at the place of just exiting Egypt because we confuse exiting Egypt from entering the promised land. As if God only wanted us to be set free from Egypt. He says, no, my son, no, my daughter. I didn't call you just to be pulled out of Egypt. I called you to walk into something better. And sometimes God's children are shortchanging ourselves because we are just satisfied and we're just happy with escaping Egypt and exiting Egypt. We're just, well, at least I'm not sinning like I used to before. Well, at least I'm not acting ratchet online like I used to before. Well, at least I'm not watching rated R movies like I used to before. Well, at least I'm not cussing up a storm like I used to before. Well, at least I'm coming to Sundays. I'm coming to church twice a month. Oh, it got quiet on me right there. Somebody felt the Holy Ghost shift, right? At least I'm coming to church. At least I'm showing up. At least, and yeah, you're still happy that you escaped Egypt. But God is saying you're shortchanging yourself if you think that's all I have for your life. At least I don't mistake what God pulled you out of for the blessing He has in your future. Don't confuse leaving Egypt, because leaving Egypt is just part of the story, but it is not the final end to your story. See, there's a difference between the areas that God calls you out of, the areas that God calls you through, and the areas that God calls you to. I want you to hear this. There are places where God pulls you out of. He's going to bring you out of some places. But then there's other places that God, what He wants to do is just bring you through them. You're not meant to stay there. He didn't bring you to them. He's bringing you through them. And so sometimes we end up building houses in a place that we're supposed to pitch a tent because we got to keep it moving. And sometimes what happened with the people of Israel is that they escaped Egypt, they exited Egypt, but they got so comfortable that they were no longer in Egypt that for years upon years, upon years, upon years, upon years, upon, y'all get the message? Upon years, they were in the wilderness, satisfied that they were no longer under the government of Egypt, under the slavery of Egypt, under the bondage of Egypt. And so they spent years upon years in a place that they were supposed to go through as if it was the place that God called them to. You're not meant to live in the wilderness. See, God called you out of Egypt. See, this is what the psalmist said. He said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow. He said, though I live in the valley of the shadow of death. No, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. See, so many of us, we're building houses in the valley. We're building homes in the valley. We're building our identity in the valley. We're building our marriage in the valley. We're having children in the valley. And God is saying, no, you were never meant to build your home in the valley. You were meant to go through the valley and build your home in the promise, because here's what I have for you. Does anybody believe that in this place?